Breaking news to bring you. President Donald Trump has been delivering an address from the Oval Office at the White House after Hamas finally agreed to his peace deal in Gaza. Let's take a listen to what he's been saying tonight.
Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard. This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented, but thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East, and we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
And just to bring you some more breaking news, in the past couple of moments, our Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has said Hamas acceptance of the US peace plan is a, quote, significant step forwards. He strongly supports President Trump's efforts, which have brought us closer to peace in the Middle East than ever before. And alongside the UK's partners, they stand ready to support further negotiations to work towards what they call sustainable peace for Israelis and Palestinians alike. President Trump, Prime Minister Starmer is calling on all sides to implement the agreement without delay very, very promptly. For me, viewers, this is a bombshell moment because not only could it be another win for President Trump, stopping yet another war, hopefully that's the result of this development today. I argue that this massive pro-Palestine Action march in London later on today, on Saturday, shouldn't go ahead anymore. The hostages will be released, dead or alive, and as I just mentioned to Patrick, I've got a slight concern about the hostages who will be alive because I'm concerned about what Hamas will do to them before releasing them. What's to stop them from killing them? That's a bypoint. But secondly, Hamas will be out of Gaza. They'll hand over control to the Palestinian Authority. And Trump has told Israel tonight, stop bombing Gaza. So from my point of view, in my mind, why does there need to be a massive march in London later today? Unless, of course, you just want to go Jew bashing, because in actual fact, the whole point of your march in the first place wasn't about getting peace in Gaza. It's because you've got a problem with Jews. Well, I'm joined in the studio now by journalist Hilary Fordwich, fellow Brit. Hilary, welcome along. Thank you. What's your take on this breaking news this evening? It seems like a pretty momentous moment for the Middle East.
Yes, and welcome back to the US. I know you've flown back. You must be exhausted. I'm amazed you can say anything at all straight. But what's really serious is, I think, first of all, that President Trump, like you said, yet again, he's actually wanting a peace agreement. He is the president of peace. And I think this is absolutely tremendous news, with the concern, of course, obviously about those hostages. But with regard to that march, if nothing else, it should be out of respect for what's just happened in Manchester, that it should be halted.
Yeah, I mean, they've got absolutely no respect. I've gone down to plenty of pro-Palestine Action marches in my time. Maybe we've got some clips later on in the show. They are the most vicious, toxic, disrespectful people going in the UK. They don't give a damn about the Jews.
Absolutely.
Hilary, thank you. Moving back on to issues in the UK. Big question tonight. Actually, it had me pondering on the plane over here, back from the UK. Can you ever recall Sir Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, uttering the word Islamist or Islamic extremist since he took power in July last year? Because tonight, I'm afraid to say, the United States, this side of the pond, is openly ridiculing Britain. Responding to a post about the Manchester terror attack, the US Department of Homeland Security posted on X earlier today, "Want to help keep jihad out of America?" before posting a link to a recruitment ad for immigration agents and so-called Homeland defenders. Goodness me, don't we need a few of those? Well, that's what it's come to, hasn't it? Being openly mocked, rightly in my view, by our strongest ally for our failure to get hold of radical Islam. Not only was the Manchester attacker called jihad, which is a joke in the first place, it's also reported tonight that he was on bail, accused of rape, when he carried out his attack in Manchester. And just as a reminder to viewers and listeners, Lucy Connolly was refused bail, but a guy called Jihad, accused of rape and potentially other stuff which we can't yet confirm and report on tonight, is allowed to somehow walk the streets of Britain a free man. So Try and rack your brains, viewers and listeners. When was the last time Keir Starmer called out radical Islam? Because he's all too happy to bang on about Tommy Robinson and the so-called far right. But radical Islam has been the biggest national security threat to our country for decades. The MI5 watch list is full of would-be jihadis, 40,000 of them being watched by our spooks. And let's remind ourselves, shall we, about radical Islam and the UK over the decades. The Liverpool hospital bomber in 2021. The murder of Sir David Amess the same year, the 2020 Reading stabbings, the 2020 Streatham knife rampage, the London Bridge stabbings in 2019, the London Bridge stabbings in 2017, which I was at, the Westminster Bridge attack the same year, the Manchester Arena bombing in 2017, the 2015 Leytonstone tube attack, the 2013 savage murder of Lee Rigby in Woolwich. God bless you, Lee. The 2007 London and Glasgow bomb plot, the 2005 London bombing, 7/7. Let's go to Europe, shall we? Let's go across the channel. The Bastille Day massacre in France, Charlie Hebdo, the Bataclan, the Madrid train bombings. I could go on. So I ask again, when are our governments of all colours going to get real about radical Islam and stop gaslighting us about the so-called far right? And it's fair to say the public's had enough, because earlier today in Manchester, the Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy, was met with heckles.
In introducing our Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy, and before I do, please.
Palestine! Shame on you! Shame on you! Go to Palestine! Leave us alone!
Dear oh dear. And by the way, just as a comment on that, where is Keir Starmer, our so-called leader, our Prime Minister? Surely you should be leading from the front, being down there and taking the flak, not sending David Lammy. Meanwhile, in London, pro-Palestine marches will still go ahead later today. That's despite the police urging they'll be cancelled in the wake of the attack. And in more breaking news tonight, 3 more people, a man and 2 women, have been arrested in relation to the Manchester terror attack. That brings the total number of people held on suspicion of preparing acts of terrorism to 6. And GB News can also exclusively reveal this evening that the father of the attacker, Faraj al-Shami, has also described Israel as a terrorist state on his Facebook profile, where he made regular posts on the civil war in Syria and the Israel-Hamas war. Mr al-Shami said in his post on October the 7th, 2023, that the attack by Hamas in Israel had proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Israel would not remain. The Telegraph has translated another post on October the 10th, just days later, that appeared to question why Hamas was not being supported by Arab nations. And according to the newspaper, the father wrote, "Where is this so-called resistance with the Haifa rockets? May God's curse be upon the hypocrites, the traitors pledged to a disgusting and filthy sectarian agenda. The moment of truth is inevitably coming." In a Facebook post on al-Shami's account today, distancing from the family from the attack, he described it as a heinous act. It reads, "The news from Manchester regarding the terrorist attack targeting a Jewish synagogue has been a profound shock to us. The al-Shami family in the UK and abroad strongly condemns this heinous act, which targeted peaceful, innocent civilians. We fully distance ourselves from this attack and express our deep shock and sorrow over what has happened. Our hearts and thoughts are with the victims and their families, and we pray for their strength and comfort." GB News has approached Mr al-Shami for comment regarding his posts about Hamas, Israel and the October the 7th attacks. Well, let's get more with former Conservative MP Louise Mensch, who joins us live from New York once again. Louise, good evening. Thanks for your company. Good to see a fellow Brit. So much to unpack. First of all, what's your take on the situation in Manchester? I mean, do you agree with me that Keir Starmer and Labour have been banging on about the so-called far right so much that they've totally eclipsed radical Islam?
Yes, I do. And I think not only has the term far right lost all meaning at this stage in Britain, as you said, you have to contrast it with their total silence on radical Islam. We're not just talking Islam, we're talking about radical Islam, Islamic extremist terror. He said nothing. And I think, as you also point out, he didn't even turn up. He sent the deeply unimpressive David Lammy, who is not exactly seen as a friend of the Jewish people by the Jewish people in Britain. He sent him down there to do the dirty work and not go and face face the crowd when he recently recognized Palestine, which many of us, Jewish and Gentile, will see as a reward for terror. And look at this prince, Jihad. He did what he said on the tin, didn't he? That's exactly what he did. And as well as being on bail for rape, he declared himself, for example, to be a full-time father. He was on benefits, he wasn't working. The family got a lovely council house from Great Britain, and this is how they repaid us. As to the doctor dad trying to distance himself from his son's actions and calling them heinous, on the one hand, he does that because it's what Jewish civilians at a mosque. Who was being killed in the October the 7th attacks? Was it the IDF? No, it wasn't. It was Jewish kids at a music festival. It was little babies being slaughtered in front of their parents. It was nothing but civilians. There is precisely no difference between the two attacks except scale. And because two very brave Jewish guys stood up against this guy, more people didn't die, thank God. But that is the only difference, scale.
Louise, I have been wondering who the hell at the Home Office looked at this guy's, well, he was a child at the time in 2006, looked at the application for asylum, saw that he was called Jihad and didn't A, question his name, or B, look into maybe his parents at the time. I mean, am I over-egging this? I mean, surely it would have passed someone's brain, no, that there's a bit of concern here about even the child's name and the sort of the thinking of the parents, no?
I don't know about the child's name, but I think once you've got people openly praising the terrorist attacks of October 7th, that's what should have triggered a wider look at the family, perhaps, I think, and that the kid was named Jihad. It's not exactly a good sign, is it? But I think you pointed out the scale of the problem. You gave off a litany of appalling terrorist attacks caused by radical Islamic extremists, and then you said, what was it, 40,000 people? How the hell is MI5 supposed to cope with those numbers? I think we have to look at the cultural problem that we do have, and we do have a cultural problem of people saying this is okay, excusing terror, glorifying violence, and although I don't think there was a two-tier standard with Lucy Connolly because unfortunately she pled guilty, which she probably shouldn't have done, what we aren't doing is we aren't looking at the statements that arise, that they manufacture hatred towards the Jews, for example. We never prosecute any of those, do we? And I think the Jewish community might be forgiven for asking, where is the prosecution of the people that praised the October the 7th attacks? Where's their prosecutions for stirring up racial hatred? Nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, well, as I said, I don't recall. I'll happy to be corrected, but I can't find anywhere that Keir Starmer has mentioned the word Islamist or radical Islam once since taking power in July last year. Louise, whilst I've got you, it seems rude not to ask you. I want to get your reaction to the breaking news about the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, pledging to leave the ECHR if it wins the next election. That's according to an announcement tonight ahead of the conference in Manchester. I mean, Kemi took her time on this, didn't she? Is it a surprise already?
It's a little bit of a surprise. She should be saving it for conference in a way, but what I would ask her to do is to go a step further, because getting out of the EHCR is a necessary but not sufficient condition. What we've also got to do is abolish the Human Rights Act, which is what judges used to make law. I used to call it the Legislate from the Bench Act, because judges can do whatever they like with it. That's got to go as well, and what she should be announcing is a comprehensive programme of getting rid of these laws that allow activist judges to let any immigrants who want stay just because they say they want to or because they desire to do so, and to bring in all of their families. We've just seen President Trump really achieve something big today, and I say that as a long-time opponent of his. He has achieved something massive this evening. Is it a done deal? No, but he's got further than anybody else, and how did he do it? Through strength and determination and just a refusal to accept nonsense from either side of the conflict. He's told Hamas, you have to release these hostages. He's told Israel, stop bombing. We need a bit of that kind of strength and decisiveness from Kemi, and we need to hear her say, not just we'll get out of the EHCR, good, that's great, but let's get rid of all the laws that are forcing us to keep these people in our country. That's what the voters want to hear, Kemi.
Yeah, and Louise, just briefly in 20 seconds or so, because we've got to move on, unfortunately, but what's your take on the pro-Palestine Action march in London later today? I mean, this deal isn't done, but it looks pretty promising, right, in Gaza between, Trump and Israel and so on. As you said, Trump has told Israel to stop bombing, hostages are coming back, hopefully we have some progress. Should this march in London tomorrow, Saturday, go ahead still?
I don't trust Palestine Action at all, even out of all of the pro-Palestinian people. I think they've got very deep ties to Russia. And what's the point of protesting something that is no longer happening? If Shabana Mahmoud wants to display some strength, now is the prime opportunity. Ban this march, say that it can't happen. The Metropolitan Police shouldn't be begging and pleading for respect. They should impose it.